Yom Kippur is a holy and intense day. All day we focus on repenting, changing, and getting closer to the Almighty. In the temple, the Beis HaMikdash, at the peak of the day of Yom Kippur, there's a central activity that is quite puzzling. The Kohane Godol, the high priest, takes two goats that must look alike. Using lots called a goral, he designates one goat to Hashem, to God, and the other is designated to Azazel, a negative and somewhat cryptic name. The first goat is sacrificed as an offering to the Almighty. The other goat is sent away into the desert and then killed by throwing it off a steep cliff. A red thread was attached to this goat's horns, with part of the thread held by those who had accompanied it. Then the red thread miraculously turns white, indicating that the Almighty has forgiven the Jewish people, who are then relieved and celebrate. What do these two goats of Yom Kippur symbolize, and what does this activity represent? An essential clue is that there is another place in the Torah where a Kohen, a priest, takes two animals that look alike and he kills one and sends the other animal away. This involves a skin disease called tsaras. When a person gets tsaras, he or she goes through a process of rehabilitation until the tsaras is cured and disappears. This process begins with the person with tsaras leaving their community. After the tsaras disappears from the person, he goes to the temple and a priest performs the following ritual before the priest can declare that the tsaras is cured. The priest takes two birds. He kills one bird, dips the wings of the second bird in the blood of the dead bird, and then sends the second bird away over a barren field. This procedure is very similar to the one with the two goats on Yom Kippur. In both cases, there are two animals that look alike. One is killed and the other is sent away to a barren area. A main clue about what this means is the Talmud in Arrogance 16a that says that there are 7 causes for tsaras. These 7 causes of tsaras are harmful gossip called lashon hara, murder, making a false oath, forbidden relations, arrogance, stealing, and being stingy. What do these 7 sins that cause tsaras have in common? They are all sins that involve interpersonal relationships, called sins bein adam lechavero, sins between one person and another. While a person has tsaras, he is exiled from the community, most likely as a result of his antisocial behavior. What was the first sin in the Torah between one person and another? It's when Cain killed his brother Abel. A pattern of meaning gradually comes into focus. All 3 scenarios are similar: the 2 goats on Yom Kippur, the 2 birds involved in the cleansing process of tsaras, and Cain and Abel. In each case, there are 2 beings that are similar: 2 goats, 2 birds, and 2 brothers. One is killed and the other is sent away. After Cain killed Abel, he was sent into exile until he was killed some years later. It is very possible that the drama that we are doing with the 2 goats and the 2 birds is a reenactment of the crime of when Cain killed Abel. In other words, on Yom Kippur, perhaps we are performing a drama with the 2 goats, a reenactment of the crime of Cain and Abel, to remind us of the terrible consequences of sins committed by one person against another. We even dip the wings of the living bird into the blood of the dead bird to indicate that it has blood on its hands. The surviving goat and bird are sent away, similar to how Cain was exiled until he was killed some years later. On Yom Kippur, the goat representing the murderer is actually killed. What is the purpose of these dramas, the 2 goats on Yom Kippur and the 2 birds with tsaras? Perhaps it is to remind us of the terrible consequences of sins between one person and another. Let us recall the 7 sins that cause tsaras. They are harmful gossip called lashon hara, murder, making a false oath, forbidden relations, arrogance, stealing, and being stingy. It is quite amazing that this central dramatic act with the 2 goats at the high point of Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year, may be to remind us of the terrible consequences and repercussions when people commit sins against each other.